Om Shri Sai Ram. Our land, India, is replete with love stories, for they do say that the whole world loves a lover. And we have had plenty of them over the years, over the decades, over the centuries, I should say, even over the millennia. We have heard about the love story of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal, about Padmavati and Ratan Singh, about Dhola and Maru Mumal, stories from Rajasthan. Then, of course, we have stories from Arabia like Shiri Farhad, Laila Majnu, Romeo Juliet. There's no end to them. But I think that one of the sweetest love stories that you haven't heard is the one I'm going to tell you today. It is the story of Ruru and Pramadvara. Now, in the very ancient days, very ancient times, in the forests, there lived the son of a rishi. His name was Ruru. He was the son of a very noble and illustrious sage, and he himself was very accomplished. He had read all the scriptures, and he was a very powerful rishi himself. Now, one day, when this young rishi he was walking in the forest, he saw a very beautiful girl. This beautiful girl was Pramadvara. She was so exotic, she was so beautiful that he couldn't take his eyes off her. And how could he? After all, she was the daughter of an Apsara, Menaka. Menaka, the heavenly Apsara who lived up in Swarglok, once had a romance with the Gandharva king Vishwavasu, and both of them became very enamored of each other. And then Menaka gave birth to a little girl. And this little girl, being the daughter of two celestial beings, the king of the Gandharvas and the Apsara Menaka, could not live in Swarglok. And so Menaka brought her down to the earth and gave her to the Rishi Sthulkesh to bring her up. Now Rishi Sthulkesh was very fond of this little girl, and he brought her up as his own daughter. And so Pramadvara had plenty of friends and family, and she never lacked for anything. And as she grew up to be as beautiful as her mother. And so, of course, Ruru went home, and then he told his father in a very forlorn manner that he wanted to get married. Till now, he had never thought of getting married, but now he felt that he had finally met his Waterloo. And when his father heard that, he agreed to go and speak to the Rishi Sthulkesh. And so both the fathers met, and Rishi Sthulkesh was also delighted with the match. Nobody could find any fault with Ruru, and the marriage was fixed. But the girl's father said that let's wait for an auspicious date, and then we'll get them married. So now these two were engaged, and they were very happy. Ruru couldn't count the days till how long he would have to wait to be with her forever, as he thought. But as fate would have it, one day before the wedding, Pramadvara was laughing and dancing with her friends in the courtyard of her house, of the hermitage. And as she was laughing and dancing there, her foot touched the body of a coiled serpent that was asleep. And as soon as the serpent felt her touch, he instinctively bit her. It was a venomous cobra, and Pramadvara fell down in a swoon. She became unconscious. Everybody was stunned. Nobody could believe it. The house, which was so full of joy and happiness till a moment ago, because the marriage was to take place the next day, was now suddenly plunged in gloom and despair. Everyone was weeping, and the news went round to Ruru, who came running, and he couldn't believe his eyes as he saw his beloved lie there on the ground, lifeless. How can it be? This cannot be. This is no age to die. She is far too young. So, at first he was like really full of grief, and he was trying to shake her and to try to bring her to life with some medicines, with some herbs, trying everything that he could think of, but to no avail. Pramadvara was gone. So then the Rishi Ruru thought, maybe I should also commit suicide. Then I can be with her, with my beloved. But then again, better sense prevailed, and he thought, this is considered to be one of the greatest sins, taking your own life. So I can't take my own life, because then that means I will be in some separate loka, and I will not be with Pramadvara. so I cannot do this. So then he called upon the scriptures and all the gods and said that if I have been true to the scriptures, if I have practiced every word I read, if I have actually put it into practice, then please bring my beloved back to life. So then upon hearing this passion, plea, a Devdut came down. This Devdut was none other than Pramadvara's father in disguise. He was the Gandharva king Vishwavasu. So he came down as a messenger of the gods. And he first he tried to explain to Ruru, why do you cry so much, young man? After all, when one's age is over, people have to leave. You cannot stay on earth indefinitely. Pramadvara's age is finished because her Ayu is up. She has died. It is nobody's fault. But Ruru was not willing to accept that. He said, no, she has to come back. I can do anything to bring her back. So then the king asked him, the Devadut, he asked him, are you sure you can do anything? And he said, yes, of course, try me. So then he said, all right, if you give a few years of your life to Pramadvara, she can come back to life. Can you do that? And Ruru said, without question. So then the king said, come, let's go. Let's go to the palace of Yamraj in Yamlok, where he dispenses justice to all the souls who have left their earthly body on earth. Let's go there. So the Gandharva king and Ruru, they both went up to the astral realm of Dharmaraj or Yamraj in Yamlok, and there they met him. The Gandharva king explained the situation to Yamraj and requested on Ruru's behalf to please send the life back into Pramadvara's lifeless body to release her soul. Yamraj said, all right, this is a very special case and normally I do not do such things, but since the Rishi Ruru is making such a passionate, plea, I am willing to consider it. So how many years are you willing to give? Because it's always a game of give and take. You give some and you take some. So how many years would you give Pramadvara? And without any thinking, Ruru said immediately, I give her half my life. Half of all the years that I have to live on the earth, I give to Pramadvara. And the Yamraj said, so be it. And so, Vishwavasu and Ruru, they came down happily to earth. When they came down and when he touched her pulse and felt her forehead, she suddenly opened her eyes. And she seemed to have become even more beautiful in the while that she had been unconscious. As she got up, she said, what happened to me? Did I fall asleep in the courtyard? And then everyone smiled and told her what a lucky release it had been. And so, after that, Ruru and Pramadvara, they did get married and they did spend their life very happily on earth and then later on thereafter as a pair of lovers who could not be separated even by death. Just like Savitri had brought Satyavan back to life, Ruru also got his beloved back to life. So I hope you enjoyed this story. And now to put one more point to it, all of you who have read the Bhagavad Puran or who do the Satyanarayan Vrat Katha every month, you must have read in the puja and in the katha that once upon a time in Naimisharanya Tirth, there were Shaunakadi rishis who called upon Suji to explain some finer point about God's glory to them. So the Rishi Shaunak, where they always say Shaunakadi rishis living in Naimisharanya, that Shaunak was the son of Ruru and Pramadvara. So I hope you enjoyed this story. Sai Ram.